Before you look outside for answers, pause for a moment and look within. Many people spend their entire lives chasing approval, recognition, and success in the outer world, but they forget that the foundation for all of this begins inside themselves. If the inner world is restless, if the mind is scattered, no amount of achievement will bring peace. But when you learn to focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a disciplined, mindful, and conscious way, suddenly everything around you starts to align. Life becomes lighter. Obstacles lose their power, and clarity takes the place of confusion. Self-focus is not about shutting out others. It is about learning to carry yourself with balance. If you cannot manage your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own energy, how can you expect to manage the challenges of life? In Shaolin teaching, the first practice is always self-mastery, because from this state of mastery, everything else flows naturally. The world is a reflection of your inner state. Calmness inside will reflect calmness outside. Chaos inside will project chaos into your surroundings. So the message is simple, but powerful. Stop scattering your energy by trying to control what is beyond your reach. Instead, redirect that energy inward towards building discipline, clarity, and strength within yourself. The moment you do this, you will see, slowly but surely, everything outside begins to fall into its natural place. Inner mastery is the foundation for outer balance, because the way a person experiences life on the outside is always a reflection of the state they hold within themselves. Every action, every word, every decision first originates in the mind and heart of the individual. If there is confusion inside, it will show in the choices one makes. If there is anger or frustration inside, it will spill out into interactions with others. When the inner space is unsettled, even the simplest situation can appear overwhelming. But when a person cultivates inner mastery, meaning they learn to observe their thoughts, regulate their emotions, and guide their energy, then even in difficult circumstances, they will find themselves grounded, steady, and able to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. This is why true balance in life does not come from trying to control the world around you, but from creating harmony in the world within you. The pursuit of inner mastery is not about perfection or eliminating all struggles, but about building the strength to stay centered when struggles appear. Consider a storm on the ocean. The surface is full of waves, movement, and turbulence, but deep beneath the water it is still. Similarly, in daily life there will always be challenges, disagreements, and uncertainties, but the person who has developed inner mastery does not get tossed around by them. They remain rooted in calmness, just like the deep waters. From this inner calmness, outer balance naturally emerges because the way one perceives situations changes. What may seem like a huge problem to someone restless becomes an opportunity or a lesson to someone balanced within. In many traditions, including Shaolin teaching, the body and mind are not seen as separate, but as one connected system. If the mind is unsettled, the body will show tension. If the body is weak, the mind will find it harder to focus. Inner mastery therefore involves not just training the mind, but also cultivating the body and breath. Simple practices like daily movement, mindful breathing, and moments of silence help build the foundation of mastery. These are not just rituals, they are reminders that every day we can return to ourselves and strengthen the inner ground we stand upon. When a person neglects their inner world, they often blame the outside world for their lack of balance. They blame people, circumstances, or fate, believing that if only everything outside were perfect, they would finally feel at peace. But the truth is, no outside condition is permanent, and no external situation can ever be fully controlled. Inner mastery teaches that waiting for the outside to bring balance is like waiting for the wind to stop before learning to sail. It will never happen. Instead, the skill is to adjust the sails, to master one's own position, so that no matter which way the wind blows, balance can still be maintained. The path toward this mastery begins with awareness. One cannot master what one is not aware of. If a person is not aware of their negative thought patterns, they will continue to fall into the same habits. If they are not aware of the emotions that drive their behavior, they will continue to act unconsciously. Awareness is the first step, and from awareness comes the ability to choose. Once a person becomes aware of anger rising, they have a chance to pause and breathe before reacting. Once they are aware of fear or doubt, they can choose to face it instead of running away. Each small act of awareness and choice builds the muscle of mastery, and with time, this mastery grows stronger. The fruit of inner mastery is seen in outer balance. Relationships improve not because the other person has changed, but because one responds with patience and clarity instead of defensiveness. Work becomes more fulfilling, not because the tasks are easier, but because one has the energy and focus to handle them without being drained. Challenges still arrive, but they no longer shake the foundation because the foundation is within, built through discipline and practice. Just as a tree with deep roots can withstand strong winds, a person with inner mastery can withstand the turbulence of life while remaining upright and balanced. Energy should not be wasted on what lies beyond your control, because the truth is that life is filled with countless variables that no human being has the power to change. The weather, the economy, the choices of others, the twists of fate, all of these exist outside the scope of personal influence. Yet, many people spend the majority of their mental and emotional energy worrying about such things, replaying them in their minds, or wishing they could bend them to their will. This constant effort drains vitality, leaving a person exhausted and frustrated, while the things they truly can influence, such as their own thoughts, behaviors, and actions, are neglected. To live wisely means to recognize this difference. There are things within our control and things outside of it, and our energy must be directed only toward what belongs to us. When one wastes energy on the uncontrollable, it is like pouring water into a broken vessel. No matter how much you pour, it will never be full. Complaining about the actions of others does not change them. Resisting the natural flow of life does not stop it. Dwelling endlessly on the past does not rewrite it. These habits only serve to scatter attention, to weaken resolve, and to create a cycle of dissatisfaction. The person who continues on this path finds themselves stuck, not because life is against them, but because they have chosen to invest their energy into what yields no return. Energy, once wasted, cannot be recovered, and so each day lived in this way is a day where strength is lost instead of gained. To preserve energy, one must cultivate acceptance. Acceptance is not weakness, it is not passivity, it is the wisdom of seeing reality as it is and not fighting against what cannot be changed. If rain falls, one cannot stop it, but one can choose to carry an umbrella. If someone speaks unkindly, one cannot erase their words, but one can choose how to respond. This choice is the power each person holds. The focus, then, is not on controlling the external, but on guiding the internal. In this guidance lies true freedom, because while the outer world is uncertain, the inner world can always be shaped. Directing energy toward the controllable transforms life. If a person channels effort into improving their health, their body responds with strength and vitality. If they dedicate time to learning and self-development, their mind sharpens and grows more capable. If they invest in their relationships with presence and sincerity, those connections deepen. Each of these is within reach, and each produces results. This is the power of wisely used energy. It builds instead of depletes, it creates instead of destroys, and it opens possibilities instead of closing them. Wasting energy often comes from the habit of comparison. People look at others wishing they had their success, their possessions, their opportunities. But comparison only magnifies what cannot be changed, because another person's path is theirs alone. No amount of wishing or envy alters it. The energy poured into such comparison could instead be invested into walking one's own path with determination. The same is true of resentment or regret. Holding grudges over what someone has done or replaying what one could have done differently in the past does not shift reality. It only binds the present moment in chains, preventing forward movement. Letting go of these burdens is not forgetting, but freeing the energy trapped within them so it can be used to shape the future. In every situation, there is a choice. A person may not control the storm, but they can control how they set their sails. They may not control whether obstacles appear, but they can control the effort they put into overcoming them. They may not control what others say, but they can control the meaning they give to those words. This choice is where all power lies, and this is where energy, once directed with clarity, becomes a tool for growth instead of a source of suffering. The discipline is to constantly remind oneself to draw the boundary. This is not mine to control, so I let it be. This is mine to guide, so I focus here. The more often this boundary is drawn, the stronger the ability becomes, and with it, the calmer and more purposeful life grows. Self-discipline creates clarity, strength, and peace of mind because it is the practice of guiding one's actions consistently in alignment with higher values and intentions, even when comfort or distraction tries to pull in another direction. Without discipline, the mind becomes restless, easily swayed by every impulse, every fleeting emotion, every external distraction. Life then becomes scattered, lacking structure, and the individual feels trapped in cycles of procrastination, regret, and dissatisfaction. But when discipline is cultivated, life takes on a different quality. The mind grows clearer because it is not clouded by constant indecision. The body grows stronger because it is cared for with regularity. And the heart finds peace because there is a sense of harmony between what one wants and what one does. Clarity arises from discipline because it removes unnecessary noise. A disciplined person does not spend endless hours drifting aimlessly from one distraction to another. Instead, they prioritize, they set intentions, and they follow through. This creates mental order, and with order comes clarity. For example, when a student sets aside regular hours for study rather than waiting for motivation, their mind becomes attuned to learning during that time, and the knowledge is absorbed more deeply. When someone establishes the discipline of silence or meditation each day, their mind grows less chaotic and clarity naturally surfaces like still water reflecting the sky. Discipline sharpens attention, and attention is the gateway to clarity. Strength is built through discipline because every small act of consistency trains the body and mind to endure. The physical body grows stronger when disciplined effort is applied to exercise, rest, and nourishment. The mental body grows resilient when one commits to facing challenges instead of avoiding them. Each time a person chooses to stay committed when it would be easier to quit, strength is forged. Just like a muscle grows through repeated strain and recovery, inner strength grows through the repeated practice of self-discipline. Without this, even small challenges feel heavy, but with it, even great burdens can be carried with dignity. Strength is not given, it is earned through consistent practice. Peace of mind is perhaps the most profound fruit of self-discipline. A life without discipline often leads to inner conflict. A person says they want health, but neglects their body. They say they want success, but waste their time. They say they want calmness, but surround themselves with chaos. This conflict between intention and action creates guilt, frustration, and unease. Discipline removes this conflict by aligning action with intention. When one commits to waking early and follows through, there is peace in knowing the day has begun with purpose. When one commits to practicing patience and succeeds in doing so during a moment of provocation, there is peace in knowing growth is taking place. Peace of mind is not the absence of challenges, but the presence of alignment between what is desired and what is lived. Self-discipline also acts as a compass in moments of uncertainty. Life is unpredictable and external conditions can shift suddenly. A disciplined person, however, does not lose themselves in confusion because they have habits and structures that ground them. When times are difficult, they still rise at the same hour, still practice their routine, still follow the principles they have built. This stability creates a sense of inner safety and order even in the midst of outer disorder. It is not rigidity but reliability, a trust in oneself that no matter what comes, one will continue walking with consistency. The greatest barrier to discipline is often the comfort of ease. The mind naturally prefers pleasure over effort, distraction over focus, comfort over discomfort. But discipline is the act of choosing growth over ease, and in this choice, true freedom is found. Without discipline, the individual is a servant to impulses and moods, never truly free. With discipline, they become the master of their own direction. In this mastery, clarity grows, strength builds, and peace of mind becomes a steady companion. When you focus inward, the external world naturally aligns because the state of your inner world shapes how you see, interpret, and respond to everything around you. Two people can stand in the same place, face the same challenge, and yet experience completely different realities depending on what they carry within. If the mind is restless, every sound feels like noise, every obstacle feels unbearable, and every word from others feels like an attack. But if the mind is calm, even the same circumstances are experienced with patience, clarity, and acceptance. The outer world does not change in those moments, but the way it is experienced shifts entirely. This is the power of inner focus, the ability to bring balance and alignment not by changing everything outside, but by transforming the way it is received inside. When attention is always directed outward, one becomes trapped in comparison, competition, and endless pursuit. Life becomes a race to prove worth, to match or surpass what others are doing. But this external chase rarely brings satisfaction because there will always be someone who has more, does more, or seems further ahead. The result is exhaustion and emptiness. Focusing inward frees one from this trap. Instead of comparing with others, the focus is on becoming a better version of oneself. Instead of chasing approval, the focus is on living in alignment with personal values. This shift changes the entire quality of life because fulfillment comes not from external validation, but from inner growth. When you focus inward, relationships also transform. Many conflicts arise not from the actions of others, but from the unhealed states we carry within ourselves. A person filled with insecurity will see threats everywhere. A person filled with anger will find reasons to argue even in small matters. But when someone cultivates inner peace, they bring patience into conversations, they listen more openly, and they respond with compassion rather than reaction. As a result, the external world of relationships becomes more harmonious, not because others have changed, but because the lens through which they are approached has softened. Focusing inward also improves clarity in decision-making. Without self-awareness, choices are often driven by impulse, fear, or social pressure. These decisions rarely align with one's true purpose, and over time they create dissatisfaction. But when inward focus is strong, one understands personal values, motivations, and limitations. Decisions then come from alignment with inner truth rather than external pressure. Even if difficulties arise, there is strength in knowing the choice was authentic. This alignment between inner knowing and outer action brings harmony, and harmony creates a sense of flow in life. Another effect of inward focus is resilience. The external world is full of uncertainties. Jobs can be lost, people can leave, health can falter, plans can fail. If stability depends only on outside circumstances, then life will always feel fragile. But inward focus creates resilience because stability is rooted in something that cannot be taken away, the relationship with oneself. When challenges come, a person with inner grounding can adapt without losing themselves. Their peace is not dependent on everything going smoothly. It is born from the steady practice of returning inward, again and again, no matter what the outer world looks like. Even goals and achievements become more meaningful when approached from inner focus. Chasing success for the sake of appearances leaves one feeling hollow, but when the pursuit is rooted in inner growth, every step feels worthwhile. Success then is not measured only by external rewards, but by how much one has grown in discipline, patience, and wisdom along the way. The external accomplishments become a reflection of the internal state, not a substitute for it. Focusing inward is not selfishness, as it is often misunderstood to be. It is the opposite. When a person tends to their own mind, body, and spirit, they become more capable of giving to others. They are less reactive, less demanding, and more present. Their energy uplifts rather than drains, and their example inspires rather than competes. The external world aligns because it is touched by the harmony they carry within themselves. The alignment is not forced. It happens naturally because the inner condition radiates outward into every interaction, every decision, every moment of life.